What's up, y'all? It's your host, Sid, and welcome back to another episode of Cooler Talk. I'm so excited that you're here joining me and so many dope women as we transparently inspire and empower through conversations about womanhood, career, relationships, and all of life's experiences. Joining me at the Cooler today is Marrica, best known as the content photographer that is completely taking over Dallas by storm. But she is a woman of many talents. Marrica hosts her own podcast, So Life is Happening. She is a YouTube vlogger and has been for many years. She's a book club leader, #Story Gang, if you know, you know, and a fellow toddler and girl mom. So Marrica, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so happy to have you at the Cooler. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Well, I think you did it for me. Oh my gosh, that was so good. I'm Marrica Evans, and I have been a digital content photographer for the last 7 years. It has been really fun being kind of like in an industry in a way that isn't really normal and still in discovery right now. When I first got into photography, I knew right off the bat that I wanted to focus specifically on digital content, and most of that comes with working with influencers. And me starting out as an influencer myself, it was just a seamless transition. And in the process of this journey, I've pretty much created and evolved in a lane that's still being made. So each step that I take, I'm probably making it for the first time, or there's no other examples. So it's definitely been an interesting journey.
I love that because like when I started my career, I went into graduated college and I went to the advertising world. I always wanted to work in an advertising agency and I always wanted to be a copywriter. 6 months into my job, I was a copywriter. That's what brought me out to Dallas. I was a copywriter on TGI Fridays accounts, rewriting menus and drink descriptions and stuff. Loved it. And then they were like, we need you to be a social strategist because we just landed the Dr. Pepper Snapple group account. So I totally empathize, even now in entrepreneurship, with being in a lane where you this is the lane that it doesn't exist. Every step I make is the first time the step has been made, you know? And then it's also it's a blessing and a curse, because it's the blessing where it's there is no blueprint or example. So I just get to create my own kind of world in this thing. And it's also a curse because sometimes you're just but I need an example.
Yes.
I'm tired of being innovative.
And sometimes it's cool because it's I get to create my own way, but it's sometimes you wonder is this the right way though? Is this beneficial for the business? Am I actually doing it in a way where I'm running the business properly, or pricing things properly, or making you can get in your head in it for a long time, but yeah, sometimes it's fun, and then sometimes it's can somebody please just show me?
Right, where's the blueprint? Where's the template? Where's the ebook that I can download with the steps? So what inspired you, or who put a camera in Marrica's hand? What inspired you to go down this path of photography?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so where do I start? So interestingly enough, I tell this story all the time, but when I was a kid, I wanted to be a nurse. I'm the type of person, I don't like change. I'm a creature of habit. If I commit to this thing, that's what I want to do. Even if I know it's not for me, I'm no, I said I wanted to do that. I can figure it out. I can make it work, whatever. So I do remember vividly, in the first grade, and people asking me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm oh, I want to be a nurse like my aunt. That was how I would say it every time. I want to be a nurse like my aunt. And I just remember my aunt, she was just always available. She never looked like she was at work, but I knew she had a job. And she was taking naps during the day. She didn't have to put on a suit or skirt or heels. And I'm that's me. I'm a girl's girl, but I'm not. I don't I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to like dress a certain way or fit the norm of whatever people think a woman should do. That's never been me. Even as a kid, I knew that early on. So I was like, I want to be a nurse. I could help people and I could like take naps. I work 3 days a week. Like I had made it up in my head. So, however, as I reflect, as I'm older now and I reflect, there has been little pockets of opportunity for me to like fall into the creative side of what I naturally do, but I always ignored it because I'm like, I'm gonna be a nurse. Like, wow. There's no need to focus on that. So my uncle is actually a photographer, and he was a sports photographer, and he's been around my whole life. And I always noticed his equipment, and I always had an interest in it. But like when you're a kid, you don't touch grown people's stuff, especially not nothing that expensive.
Right, especially that expensive stuff.
So I always admired it. And then my sister was a basketball player, so he was always around shooting her at her games. And so I always was interested in it. And then I just kind of was like, it's a camera, whatever. And then MySpace came around, and my sister would always have me like take her picture for the MySpace page. And like, I would just take her picture around the house. But I mean, it was nothing to me. Like, it was just whatever. And then it wasn't until, and then I really want to find this video. I don't know if I ever will, or if it ever comes up. I don't know. But my mom had a camcorder, and I vividly remember on my birthday vlogging myself on the camcorder. I was like 10 years old. This was before vlogging was even a thing. So it was like things that I naturally did, but I didn't think it was nothing.
Yeah, that's a career. Yeah.
I didn't think it was anything, just me doing stuff. So long story short, or long story shorter, I get to college. I'm pursuing my nursing degree. I hate every bit of it.
Wow.
Every second of it. I hated it. I did not like it. I would call my aunt, and she's like, oh, you just got to get through this couple years. And then like, and I'm a hands-on learner, and for nursing you have to do the first 2 years, and then you apply to the nursing program, and then if you get in, that's when you do the hands-on stuff. But I'm just like, I can't do this reading and like testing and reading, and I was over it. So around this time, I started a YouTube channel because I had cut all my hair off. I've never had a perm. So people were like interested in what I put on my hair, whatever. So that's how I got on YouTube. And I started, and my sister was the one who was trying to be a photographer. It was my sister.
Wow, okay.
And she was like, this not working out. Here, take my camera since you started a YouTube channel. I was like, okay. So she gave me her camera, and that's how I started filming videos on YouTube. And then simultaneously, I'm also trying to figure out what I'm doing at school. Like, I hate nursing or whatever. So my blog kind of takes off. YouTube kind of takes off. And I started getting invited to events in the natural hair community. At the events, I naturally wanted to document it. So I started taking pictures just so I could write a good blog. Well, people started asking me like, oh, I didn't know you were a photographer. And I was like, whoa.
Like, I ain't know either. Like, but okay.
I was like, no. Like, I'm a blogger like you are. Like, to me, I'm like, I'm just like this journalism, right? Like, you take pictures, you write about it. And people just kept like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were a photographer. I kept getting the label, and I did not want to take it on. I was like, I didn't go to school for that. I don't have the credentials for that. I'm not a photographer. Like, I kept putting it off. And it wasn't until somebody I was running. So at these natural hair events that was happening, I became a social media person for the event planner. And the photographer that was there was taking great photos, but it would take like a week or so to get the pictures back. And I'm like, this is so whack. Like, we need to be posting while we're at the event. Like, people are following us on social. They want to know what's going on. This was before Instagram stories. So it was just like posting in the feed. That was it. There was no reels, no Instagram stories, nothing.
Mhm.
So I was like, everybody who didn't get a ticket is watching. So it's like, if
Yeah,
I could
that
figure out a
FOMO
way to
factor.
post now, then let's do it. So there was a memory card. This was before, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm telling my age. But this was before
Oh
this
my
was
God.
before all the cameras had Wi-Fi in it. So now all the cameras, you could just send the
Mhm.
picture to your phone. Every camera has it. Well, in 2015, 2016, the cameras didn't have it. There was a memory card that made it Wi-Fi compatible. So I bought the memory card. I would take pictures and then I would post it on the social while at the event. And so that's when influencers started looking for me at
Mm.
events. They would be like, "Hey, you going to this event? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go because I know you're gonna be there. And you're gonna take a
And the
picture of
picture's
me,
gonna be
and
right there.
you're gonna be
Yeah.
able to send me the picture right then." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so there was a time where I had to choose, or no, I was about to fail. I was about to fail a anatomy class, and I was crying to my sister.
Not you knew the writing was on the wall. You like, look.
I was crying to my sister, and my sister was like, my sister had just quit basketball. So we were both in very transitional periods.
Yeah.
She had just quit basketball. Everybody knew her for basketball. And I was like, how did you know to quit? Like, that's
Mm.
the thing everybody know you for. You love it. She was like, I was not happy. Like, she was like, I mean, I was good at it and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't making me happy anymore. And so she was like, it seems like you're enjoying the social media stuff that you're doing. Why don't you like maybe
Yeah.
change your
Go all
major
in.
to that? So I didn't even know what other majors my school offered. That's how committed I was to being a nurse. I didn't even look at the other stuff. So I went to the advisor. I looked at the list. The thing that interested me the most was PR. And I changed my major to PR. And then everything took off from there.
Wow.
So to answer your original question of like who put the camera in my hand, it kind of
Yeah.
just made its way to me, and I feel like God was like, you keep ignoring this thing I'm trying to show you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't run away from it anymore, and I finally just leaned into what I was naturally good at, and it's been
It's stuck.
sustaining me ever since.
Man, I love that story. Like, so for those of y'all that don't know, like, what was it end of last year? Yeah, it was like 3 days after my daughter's first birthday.
Yes.
I had my first shoot with Marrica, and I have like, it's one of those shoots where I look at those photos, and not only does it like put me in the moment of the day that we shot, but I love them every time. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of times, especially as like a business owner, I feel like you get a lot of different shoots done for different things. Or even when you start to have, a little family, y'all start to take photos for things. And sometimes you just, like, oh yeah, I remember we took that. But like, I really love my photos every time I see them
Oh,
because the way, like, you're a gift behind the lens. And I think there's so many things you just said that are like rent free right now. One, the defining factor of you saw your auntie take them naps, like, and how big that was. You was like, she got to take naps. Like, I love that. That was like a moment where like, I need that job. Like, I need a nap in the daytime because look at us now, like as
yeah.
moms just dying to like have those naps. But
And what's
and then,
crazy is I still got that. I
yeah,
still got the 3-day work week. I take naps. But
look,
it was
without being the
like
nurse.
you could still have those things. You just don't have to be a nurse.
And you don't gotta know the anatomy like that. I love it. I still got it. Like you still got it. I
Yeah,
absolutely
I
love
still
that.
achieved the life that I was attaching to that career. But I feel like in that transitional period in college, I discovered that I could still have what I want without feeling forced to do something I don't want to do. Clearly, don't want to
Yeah.
do it.
You speaking the whole word right now. Just you saying how, you didn't realize it and you weren't like, forcibly running away from it, but you thought you were just journaling and blogging about natural hair and, just documenting in the way that you would have taken it and done it, and people like, oh, so I didn't know you were a photographer, so sometimes it's like crazy how people see stuff in us that we don't even see for ourselves, or like they give us these labels, of direction that we would never attach ourselves to. And I mean, I find it so funny that you was like, I'm telling my age when the cameras didn't have Wi-Fi. They had to remember when the cameras just whine, like you had to take up the Walmart and get the negatives. And
those are coming back. People think they're like vintage film.
I'm like, man, my mom would send me on a field trip with one of them things, and she'd be like, you only got 16 left, boy. And you be thinking about like what you gonna actually take a picture of. Man, now everything just on our phones. We don't ever even think about the camera roll like that. Like, it's so endless in our minds. But man, cameras have come a long way, even just like in our lifetime, which is insane.
Absolutely. It's literally on your phone now.
Yeah. So you talked about your aunt, your sister, your uncle, just like a lot of family influences growing up for one way or another, like even in spaces where you didn't realize you were being influenced. So growing up, like for young Marca, like who influenced you the most? Like who had big impacts on your life?
Oh my gosh. So the first person that comes to mind is my Uncle Cecil. But multiple people have influenced me, but I think he is the person that really is really the baseline or the heart of like who I am today, because he was the first job I ever had. So one, my dad is always my biggest influence, but my dad was incarcerated all of my life. And so I knew I have a kind of like a fairy tale of him, but I didn't grow up with him. But my Uncle Cecil, he was an entrepreneur before I even knew what an entrepreneur was, and so was my dad. But my Uncle Cecil, he just always had these odd projects that he was working on, and I always just thought he was just a crazy old guy, and I always got something to do that he doing. He had a beeper shop with my dad. He's had a barber shop. He's had a restaurant. He had a drive-through prayer. I don't even know how you come up with that, but he did. Like, he's always had all this stuff. So when I was 13, one day my mom was like, you need to go help Cecil at his new store. And it felt like a punishment for me. I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, he always got something going on. So he picks me up, takes me to his store, and I'm helping him. And at the end of the day, he gave me $30. He was like, if you come back, every time you come help me, I'll give you $30. And I was like,
I'll be back tomorrow.
When do you need me? When do you need me again? Right. And so he was my first job, so I would work for him every Saturday, pretty much up until I turned 16 and I could get a real job. But yeah, he kind of I was able to see firsthand what you can just make, like, it's in your head and you could just make it come to life and have customers and have a business and just do whatever you put your mind to, whatever you want to do. And I kind of just saw it firsthand, and at the time I just saw it as like, oh, me helping my uncle, but really he
was helping you.
Yeah, he was helping me, and he gave me my first job. So yeah, I think he impacted me in a way that I didn't know I was being impacted until really within the last few years, as I just reflect on myself as a child.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like a lot this season I've had the conversation, or just like the constant realization that, like growing up, we all had the lady we went to that did our hair. We all had, the restaurant our parents always went to, or the barbershop, whatever. And like how we just saw those as like places that we went to run errands or something.
Yeah, but they were never family.
They were entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
they were businesses, and nobody ever was like, "Hey, Miss Melanie that do our hair, that you go get that hot comb done." Like, this is her business. You know what I mean? Like, and I just I think it's cool now that, one, obviously, like, entrepreneurship is a lot more kind of like accepted and known, but like our girls and our kids will grow up to know, like, this is a business, that they started from the ground up or whatever. Like, I never looked at the places that we frequented when we were kids like that.
Yeah,
same. And my mom was a nurse, and my dad a truck driver my whole life, still to this day. And so, I saw he was a truck driver, she was a nurse, everybody else was a teacher, or, it's like the very kind of like by the book jobs, that you read about or heard about, or you saw other people's parents doing it. And so it's just crazy to like now see so many different roles. And just like you said, like with you, yeah, like your sister gave you her whole camera, MySpace had popped off, you taking her pictures, natural hair, like started blogging. Like it still wasn't like anything that you saw in that moment, like as a career.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And, just like you said, now it's beautiful that the lifestyle that you desired or saw from your aunt being a nurse, you now have it doing your own thing.
Yeah.
So that is so beautiful. So like thinking about, your day to day now, like managing, a lot of personal brands, people think too, even as a content photographer for influencers, we talked about this a little bit of where they're thinking like, oh, you show up with the camera, you get the shots and like, that's a done deal. But like you talked about, something that's been, important to you and innovative for you is that these are not just photos that somebody's printing and putting in a frame. Like this is for a digital purpose. So you gotta, like, the reason why you're so good at what you do is because you're thinking about, well, I gotta know my clients' digital presence. Like, where do they use these? How often do they post? What do they like to, have as props or whatever? So managing, kind of like the personal brands for so many influencers. How does Marrica juggle her own? Like, how do you juggle your own brand?
Woo! As somebody who hasn't even posted on Instagram in the year of 2024.
I'm dead.
Oh my gosh. Actually, since becoming a mom, it's actually been really hard for me. I think, no. Well, yes, but I went through a lot of transitions in a short period of time, and I think I'm still trying to figure out how to get out of it, or like get on the other side of this transition, or is this just my life now, or how I think. But in 2020, I think that was a pivotal year for the entire world. But as I mentioned earlier, my dad was incarcerated my entire life, but then he got out. And I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I don't know life with you actually here. And me and my dad were really close. Like, even though he was incarcerated, we wrote letters all the time. He called. The later teenage years of my life, we didn't talk as much because he got reassigned and all that, and I was in college and whatever. But every time we got a chance to talk, we always talk like really close friends. So when he came home, he wasn't a stranger to me. He was just like my best friend that I never got to hang out with. And a year after him being home, he passed away. So I only got to spend a year with my dad. My husband never got to meet him because COVID. My husband was in Japan, and we were married, but nobody knew we were married. So we were surprising my family at our wedding that we were married for a year. And so he passed away, and 2 weeks later, I found out that I'm pregnant. And then 2 weeks later, I have to walk down the aisle. At my wedding.
Oh my God.
Without my dad that I was looking forward to all year. And I think I naturally just like take on whatever life throws at me and just keep the ball rolling. But I think mentally I'm still stuck at that time period of my life because so much happened. But I'm a mom now. I have to show up for my child. So I kind of like put whatever that is. I don't know if it's grief, or I'm sure that's what it is. I'm sure it's grieving like the loss of a parent, grieving the life I had before that it happened. And so I think that transitional period of my life has impacted how I show up online personally, because I think when I was showing up online, it was exciting, it was fun, and it still is fun, but it was like I was building a portfolio to show my dad when he came home, like, look at all this cool stuff I'm doing. And I knew that he was watching me. And so like running a business, he had a business, and like me and him a lot alike. And I feel like once he passed, I didn't know what I was showing anymore. Like for what?
Yeah.
Like I know I had to show up to run my business, but I feel like my motivating factor behind why being online was so fun for me was gone. So I feel like I've struggled on top of just like postpartum stuff. Like I feel like I've struggled really trying to figure out what my new medium on what I enjoy, on how I want to show up, because how I used to show up, because I used to be on Instagram stories every day, like from the moment I woke up. And that also played a part in me being in a long distance relationship. So my husband was in the military, so for 7 years we were in a different state, different country. Like I never lived with him before our marriage. So I also went from being in a studio apartment by myself and kind of waking up doing whatever, to like now it's a baby inside of me and a man next to me. What is going on?
How did y'all get here?
What is going on? So I feel like I just went through so many, transitions that usually don't happen in that short amount of time. And I think I'm still trying to navigate that.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think the biggest things, like one of my next questions, I feel like partly I already, just through that answer, I see the answer to it. But I think even when we go through those seasons of transition, because you're talking about everything that you just shared, you're talking about three major transitions happening within like a 4-week span. And then all the way up into the full year, of your dad getting out. And it's just like, we get to a point at some phase, whether it's 2 weeks later or 2 years later or 20 years later, where we have to realize like just how much grace it's going to take for us to get out of whatever it is. Because I absolutely, empathize with the whole postpartum, and it's like I said, baby girl is almost 20 months. She'll be 20 months tomorrow. Had her in September 2022. And this is, I started my business in 2020 on paper as a LLC, but I didn't really launch it until like 2021. I had just moved back from California because that's where my last job was. Antonio and I had just gotten engaged. We had just bought a house here, and my whole transitional period was over a span of like 3 to 4 years, and I still feel like I'm in a space where I'm like, okay, how do I get back to the content creator I was? How do I get back, to when the business was just me? And even now, like since November, my team size has like, I don't even know the right math term, but like quadrupled. Like it was once just me. And then the first I hired my sister in 2021, like a few months after everything got started, because it was just more work than it was me and hands. And then in November, now I have a team of 7, and 9 if I count the full payroll of having a nanny. And so it's just like, I am there. Like I am you, you are me. Whether it's death or birth or marriage or whatever, like I think, I'm not saying like men don't also change throughout these, but I feel like as the woman, it's a lot harder for us to quickly transition because a lot of the moves are on us, right? Like we were the one who said yes and I do when they proposed. We were the ones, who had to carry the child and then keep the child alive every day. Every day I'm looking at her like, how do you keep still showing up? Like I had like, what are the 3 meals you eat in a day? What clothes you would like?
That is one thing I'm so sick of trying to figure out. What do you eat? What should you eat? Oh my gosh, what are you eating? Oh wait, you gotta eat.
I seen the TikTok recently, and it's just like, I'm tired of picking out the food every day. Like
every day, I'm tired. I just give me a pill.
Give me a pill. I'm good.
I'm good.
Like, I don't need to taste the
I don't
seasonings
even
or
want to
grades of
chew.
anything else anymore.
Sometimes I don't even want to chew. I just want to feel full and go about my day.
The act of stopping something to then now fix the food, then to eat the food, then your stomach be like, guess what? I ain't even like that shit.
Yeah,
It's just like,
no,
all right.
no, no. That is one. I am so sick of that. That is the worst
Girl.
part of adulting is trying to figure out what to eat.
And it's like, not only you if you got the food in the house, then you fixing it. But when you don't got, like, I was literally going all last week on a work trip. I was going from Monday to Sunday, and there's no groceries. So I'm like, so now I need to acquire food again. I feel like I just acquired food.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But yes, I definitely feel like I really want to I try not to say push myself, but I think where my content is going is I just have to get comfortable sharing where I am in life right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm trying to still share as if I'm in the life that I was before all of this happened to me, and that's just not my life anymore. And yes, that part of my life was fun, and that part of my life made sense for the 24-year-old who was in a studio apartment and all she had was a dog. Like,
Yep.
but like
That was me
now,
too.
yeah,
You and
now
my dog.
I have a whole family. And some things I don't like doing as much as I used to like or whatever. I think I'm just trying to get comfortable leaning into all the changes that I am experiencing and discovering. Like, I also think that's the part of postpartum that is confusing is I'm also discovering, just like y'all are, that I'm different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what's going on either.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like I'm in I know me is in here, but I also feel like I be looking at myself like, who the hell?
Like from the outside looking in, like I'm viewing you and you are me.
Yeah, and it's like every little thing. It's just little things that isn't a big deal, but like as they pile up, it's a big deal. Like, it's like your hair is different. You're like, okay, well, I could just get another hairstyle. But then you put your favorite jeans on, and you like, why they don't fit or why they look like that. Or like your cheeks now are just a slight bit puffier than they used to be. And so you're like, every little thing, you're like, I don't recognize none of this. And it's also confusing me while also trying to like love your partner or like show up as a wife.
Plan a date night. Like,
and you don't even feel cute, but
you just show up.
You're just trying to show up. So it's a lot, but I am grateful for the men that I married, the family that I married, because I feel like that, oh my gosh, God gave me the jackpot on husband and his family. Like, I don't think I would have been able to transition through my dad's passing as the way that I did without his family. My dad actually passed on their wedding anniversary, and they canceled everything they had planned that day once they found out what happened, and immediately came to my rescue, and was there with me every day, and at the funeral and beyond. Like, they've never left my side. So I feel like I lost a parent, but I gained two more parents. Yeah, throughout this whole process. So yeah, I think even with all the transitions that I have going on, the community of people I have around me has made it like I don't know.
Made it possible and made it worth it.
Possible and made it like a doable journey for me.
I agree with that. Like, same. And I think a lot of times we hear it, we see it in memes, whatever, and like how they'll say, like, one of the most important decisions in life, if you choose to, marry, is who you marry.
Yes.
you know, and it's them times in life, them transitional periods for whatever the reason the transition is, where you really feel that, you know,
Yeah.
that impact.
And
Like,
not only just for marriage, but too, if you decide to have kids, oh,
girl,
he is the best like, not only is he a good father, not like, of course that's a given, but he's just the best teammate in parenting.
yes,
Like, he is the best teammate ever when it comes to being a parent. I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't have to do this by myself or with anybody
yeah,
besides you. Like, there'll be days where, and especially being like a alpha woman, I guess, like being a woman who runs a business and like does like really forward thinking things, like he just
and
like,
always gonna
okay,
have a new idea, and
yeah, and he's like, oh cool, you want to shoot on this day, you shooting late, got it, I got her. Like, on one day I was so burnt, not, I wasn't burnt out, but I had a day where I like to take staycations like
yeah,
once a month and just like be by myself. I get overstimulated very quickly. And my husband's family is very outgoing. They like to go drive
always
road
together.
trip. They laughing, they loud. And my family not like that. Like, my
Wow,
family,
okay,
we're very small and like everybody stay in the house. And even when I go home, I have to go to each person's house to see them.
because nobody getting
Cause
together.
nobody coming together. I'm like, it don't even take that much. It's literally like 5 of us, but okay. But my husband family, my husband could be like, hey guys, I'm making burgers, and 20 people will show up in my house. They're like, oh, you making burgers? All right, I got the fries. All right, I'll bring the
I'm already
it's like,
outside anyway.
it's so quick how quickly they can come together.
They
And
just
so
gather.
it's so beautiful because that's what I wanted in a family, because I didn't have that like come togetherness all the time. So I was like, I want a happy family, people who always want to come together. But just because you want it don't mean your
You want it
body
all the
ready for
time.
it.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like, I know that I want it, but I'm also not used to it. So it could be a
yeah.
lot. So I was staying at a hotel and I forgot it was picture day the next day. And my husband was like, I got it. I'm going to do her hair. I'm going to get her dressed. And she was so cute. But I was just like, I'm so grateful to have a person who can just be like, I got picture day.
Yeah,
That's nothing. I could do that.
right.
And instead of just feeling like, oh, I have to do picture day because I'm her mom. Like, and so I'm just grateful to have a partner that doesn't make me feel like I'm not doing all the motherly things,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and that doesn't make me bad or good. It's just we're different. And he cooked better than me. Why? Why make that my
My
job
husband
if
too.
he better?
Yep,
Like,
yep.
and
And you
he
got it,
loves
bro.
it.
And you got it. I ain't even gonna fight you. Also, I want to pick out the kitchen, the core, but everything else, I'll get the groceries and I'll sit down and eat.
Like, I have my 5 meals that I'm great at. Like, I
I
can make
feel
a
like
good
that's me
pot
too.
roast, spaghetti. Like, I got some,
Some
heavy
good
hitters. But
classics.
he be making Japanese ramen.
New
I
shit.
can't
Get
compete
on the
with that.
reels, TikTok, you making it. That's, oh my God.
He just
We
made a
got the same way.
brisket on a Monday. He just made a whole brisket outside. I can't compete with that. You got it.
I'm the same. I'm be like, I can't compete and I don't even try. Like,
No, and I enjoyed the food. I love it.
and I feel like this is why I love these conversations, because it's like, we might work together for one thing or we get a glimpse of each other like on social media, but like what you just described is like my household. Like, me and you are very alike in terms of like, we run a business, like we in creative spaces, we deal with clients, stuff like that. But our husbands are very much alike. And it's the word that you said, which was teammate, partner. Like, Antonio and I have known each other since we were in the 6th grade. Started dating in the 8th grade, and we kind of been like God's match ever since. Like, we know it's like nothing but God had like drawn us together. And while he's a firefighter for Dallas, like part of our, household struggles is juggling his absence, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
of course and then here I am, I'm at home all the time. So I get in those spaces too where I'm like, love break down, but like I need time away. Like I need
Yeah.
time out of the house. When he comes home, it's like a space of relaxation and I'm finally home, after a long shift of 24 hours, 48 hours being gone, like ripping and running the streets of Dallas and saving lives. And meanwhile, I'm ready to get out of this bitch. I'm like, I know you want to chill here, but I'm ready to get
because Robert, that's so funny because Robert's in the military still. He's a reservist. So last year he was gone for 6 months. And like I felt like I'm also in a season of like I don't know how much because I was an open book before my husband and my kids showed up, but now I feel like my life isn't just me. Like so, how much of it I share online could impact my child or my husband. So normal, like before. I would easily be talking about like, oh, my husband's gone or whatever. Like I would talk about Robert being away all the time, but it's because we were boyfriend and girlfriend, so I just had a long distance boyfriend. But now I'm like, I can't even tell nobody he gone because I don't want nobody to know I'm here by myself with my child. Like,
I get it. I get
for like
it.
6 months, I never shared that he wasn't gone, but in those 6 months, I had to be by myself.
Exactly.
So I feel like that's when once he came back,
you got to step
when
back
the
into you a little
staycation
bit.
started. Because I was like, I want to make sure I'm always able to show up 100%, and when I'm not, I want to be able to, take a break. And I love it so much because even he's like, I think you need a staycation. Like, when was your last one? He like reminds me, like, I think you need one. And it's amazing to just have a person that just knows, like, and accepts and gives you grace whenever you need it, and vice versa. Like, to just know that if I'm having a bad day, he could catch me. If he having a bad day, I could pick up. Like, you don't even have to explain the bad day. Just, I know you ain't got it today, so I got it. Right.
Absolutely. Like that, and that's that partnership, and that's that teamwork. And I think, like you said, him being in the military, Antonio being a firefighter, like they work such team oriented jobs where, just like you said, in their absence, when they get home, like he ready, like, I can cook dinner, I can take Bray to the gym, I can take it to the park, like they're so ready to just, how can I help? Because they understand our burden, they know it takes teamwork. And then I think as women, that makes, and wives and mothers, it makes us more keen to, like, when everybody else need a break, like, okay, baby girl, you having a tantrum, it's not even bothering me, let's have that tantrum. Let's get it out, or if they having moments like, their care for us just kind of, it's easy to reciprocate it because we're not so burnt out doing all the things all the time. Like, and I love that. So taking a quick break in the conversation, I'm gonna ask you, because one of them I feel like you already answered, or just about like defining moments, in your life that have pivoted you in some way. So 2 fun questions for this fourth session. First one, Nikon, Canon, Sony. As a photographer, do you have a preferred brand that you love the most?
Yes. So I'm a Canon girl. I'm a Canon girl as a photographer, but I do like Sony for videos.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm a Canon girl through and through for pictures. But I feel like once you start buying equipment, you kind of forced to pick one because it's expensive. And once you start buying the Canon lenses, you just buy Canon cameras because you already got all the lenses.
Stuck with it,
So yeah, I think because I started with the Canon, and like I said, I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change. I don't like trying new stuff. I don't have to. Like, I got this camera, it's working just fine. I'm gonna keep buying this brand. So yeah, I'm a Canon girl because I'm a creature of habit, not because I've never even tried a Nikon, so I can't even say I don't like it. I don't need to try it because I have all the Canon stuff.
The first agencies and jobs that I worked in, like whenever we had to like do anything for social content, we had Canons. So that's like what I ever started with, and then now I'm like, because just like you trying to like transition back into somewhat of a content girl, like I've started using Sony a lot, and I really like them a lot. So
I like Sony video. That's what I use to vlog when I vlog on YouTube.
So second and last poor session question, We talking TV. So living single or girlfriends?
Living single. I would never pick girlfriends.
Period. It's like, don't even ask me. So, okay, I'm gonna take it up a notch then. Old school, new school, living single or insecure?
Living single.
Wow.
I could. Okay, I only made it through Insecure's first season,
Yeah.
and I just felt like they was putting sex on us too much.
Oh,
It was
I
just,
can feel
I
that.
was like, why they always having sex? Like, what is going on?
Well, okay, we got it. Check.
Yes,
Next.
I get it. Y'all grown. Y'all can do that. Like, and I'm speaking as an adult who can watch it. I was just like, okay, this is too much. And I love Issa. I've been watching her since she was Awkward Black Girl on
YouTuber.
YouTube. So I loved the show. I just felt like it was a bit forced with the sex.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, okay, I get it. Like, so
Okay.
yeah, I feel like living single, old school versus new school. I just feel like there was more storytelling, more like just life moments, and it wasn't.
And then
just
another
about,
like space where we also saw entrepreneurship and
it wasn't just about. I feel like a lot of shows now are just about the thing, like dating or trying to find a man or surviving singleness, or like it's all surrounding that wheelhouse of love, and it's like there is so much more to life.
Yeah, that could be in the show. You're right.
Yeah, and I feel like Living Single, A Different World, like those type of shows gave us like platonic.
Yes.
You know, just friendship. Like
even the Parkers, like yeah,
it was just so much more than like trying to get them in. Like,
yeah, it wasn't as like overt, and then it makes you wonder, like, because the media always got an agenda, like knowing that millennials, you know, like marry later, and we don't value, you know, relationships and unions as much as like our parents did, and all that type of stuff. Like, it just makes you wonder, like, is that's what all these shows about the same thing? Like, you know, y'all trying to like push it on us in the media. Like, is it working? Like,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's, you never know, but I do feel like the media back then was just more heartwarming. I feel like now I watch shows and I just feel like I'm being regurgitated social media.
Yeah.
Like, I could just scroll on TikTok or Twitter to see this, like all of this, like, but like sometimes I want to watch a show to get a good story.
Yeah. Good story, good laugh.
Yeah. But I can't really say, I can't really rate Insecure because I only watched the first season.
One season.
I was just like, yeah, it was good, but I was just like, am I like waiting for the next one? No.
Yeah. I feel that. So let's transition and talk about a couple of new things, you know, in your life, things that you've had going on. So you recently launched your podcast. Was it this year or last year that you started?
It was this year, February.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what inspired you to launch it? So
what made me do it is because, like I said, ever since 2020, I've been struggling with how I want to show up online. And right now, I haven't been that interested in showing up visually. And I don't want to post in real time as much as I used to. So with that, I loved YouTube, but it required me to set up a camera and edit. And, and earlier this year, I also had another job. I was influencer marketing manager, and I just recently left that role. So I'm back shooting full time, and I was there for 7 months, so I didn't have the time. So I was managing that role, running my business, mom, wife. I was like, I don't have time to film or edit nothing. And then I'm really good at posting in real time, but I don't know what it is about posting in real time that I can't get back to doing it. I used to just get on Instagram and show like, oh, I'm about to head to a shoot. Yeah. I'm at the shoot. I'm back at home. Like, I used to do that, and I probably should have been concerned because I was young and single, like,
and just be like, look, here's my location, people.
But I don't know. I was just more carefree about it. And now, you know, I wake up, I gotta get a kid dressed for school. I gotta brush my teeth. I gotta cook breakfast. I gotta see if my husband got lunch, or did you make lunch? Did I make lunch? Who making the lunch? Like, it's just so much now to my day that in real time, just, I don't know, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I kind of accepted that, and I was like, okay, well, how can I talk to my audience without the other ways that's not working? So that's when I came up with the podcast, and the name came because I'm like, life is happening all the time.
For good,
like,
bad,
so
yeah.
life is happening. Like, and I used to say that to my friends. Like, I have friends that have texted me, and it's been like weeks, and I'll see the message, and I'll be like, "Oh, my bad, girl. Life be happening, but yeah, we can get lunch. What you doing tomorrow?" Like, even you text me and was like, "Hey, you excited for today?" And I was like, "Oh, I forgot. I'm on here though." Like,
that's what I told Kristen. I told myself, I was like, "Look, she might not respond, but she gonna be the one.
yeah,
like,
if it's on my calendar,
she gonna be there."
Yeah, if it's on my calendar, I'm there. Like, if you got it to get on my Google Calendar, I'm gonna show
I'm
up.
there.
Like, no problem. Like, if it made it there, you can count me in. But, like, I'm so bad at responding, and like, even the DMs.
Oh my God, same.
I used to reply to my
I dread
DMs.
checking my DMs now. Like, I dread it.
You dread it?
Yeah, like, not from a sense of like not wanting to like check in with whoever's messaging me, but like, I tell my husband all the time now, I feel like my life is a revolving circle of just answering messages, like having a team of their Slack messages. Then when I finish answering one Slack message, now I got an email from a client. When I finish answering my emails, which I rarely ever get, like twice a week maybe, then I'm checking DMs on social, like what is my.
And I think that's also why I love the podcast.
Yeah,
ain't no comments.
Yeah,
ain't no. It's not
like,
a lot of discord. You just put it out there, and people listen, and if they love it, they find a way to tell you, and you just go from there. And so I haven't posted in a while actually, but I'm about to post next week because I want to get on there and tell, because my last episode was basically me saying like, I got a lot on my plate, but I can handle it. So this next episode, I'm gonna be like, I lied, I had way too much shit on my plate.
Well, come over, hit the floor, and it's all right.
I had way too much shit on my plate, and I had to take some shit off, but I'm back.
I love that. And that's what I love too about the podcasting. Like, even with doing like the visual side of it, I've just loved how it feels like more in my control versus the last 2 seasons where I used to do this on Instagram Live every Wednesday night. Like last year, we had like 27 guests. So for 27 Wednesdays, I was on live. Out of 52
year.
Like, how? And it was my first year of motherhood.
Oh, that was me on my book club.
Crazy.
Yeah, I used to go live on Instagram for my book club once a month, and oh my gosh, I feel like that once a month was coming around so fast. I was like, golly, I ain't even finished the book yet.
I feel like immediately after postpartum, like, we go through this period of insanity where we just be like, yep, I'm gonna do that thing.
It's because we're trying to. It's because we're trying to get back to, we're trying to just keep life going as if we didn't just have a whole human being. I just had my team. I actually have a team now.
That was my next
so
question.
I have an assistant now, and then I also have a new girl on my team, which we're kind of defining her role.
Yeah,
she's helping me in one area, but I really want to grow into like an agency. So yeah, I'm kind of nervous and excited about that. I don't really know what I'm doing, and we just
none of us do. But figuring it out.
When I hired my assistant and we started talking about, she was like, how were you doing all this by yourself? And then she was like, when you had we were going back through my calendar, and I was showing her how I used to have like 40 shoots in a month. And that was a regular thing for me.
Like showing up 40 different times to do the thing, plus editing, plus the booking, plus the invoice, girl.
And so I felt like I was behind because I wasn't having that number every month. I was like, oh my gosh, I only have like 10 shoots. I only have like 12 shoots. And And my assistant was like, so let's look at your calendar. What month did you have Ray? And I was like, oh, I had her August 2021. August 2021, I had one shoot. And I think that was the last shoot I had before she was born.
Yeah.
September of 2021, I had 7. She was like, how did you have 7 shoots and you just had a baby?
Wow.
And I think I sat in the house for a month and I was like, I have to
Right.
go back to work. Like, I don't. And it's also this thing of like, I know that my business runs in a way where my clients are constantly online. So if I'm not available to shoot, they're gonna find somebody else. So I was like, I can't be gone. I gotta get back to work. And so she was like, wow, this is crazy. And so now I'm in a place where I want to have another kid, but I also know that I'm not gonna want to do that again that way. So I'm trying to figure out a way to sustain my business in a way where I'm not always having to shoot to bring in income. Which is why I took on my last role at influencer marketing manager, and I really loved it. But I was taking on that role to diversify my income to where I'm like not always shooting. Because I have to figure out a way, or I have to implement the way that I want to bring in income where I'm not just behind the camera.
Yeah. And I mean that picture in my mind of you having 40 shoots in a month, you know, like it reminds me of kind of like my first days in entrepreneurship, that rat race of quantity over, and not to say that the work wasn't quality, but it was quantity, because here I was taking on clients paying me, you know, $500 here, $1,000 here. Oh, new website. Oh, you need, you know, social channels, like revamp, da 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 da. To now, like almost 4 years in business, and I'm taking on, you know, 5-figure clients a month. And you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't need 6-7 clients a month. I just need 2. I don't need, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, we all go through that stage, you know, of just like, I know I had to have more and more and more and more and more, but it's really just, we ain't either pricing right for our work. We ain't reaching, you know, who exactly we should be to kind of lessen the load. But you know, you started a podcast this year. You've expanded your team, you know, by 2, you know, so far this year. So like, what was just that breaking point where you said, Marrica, look, you can't do this by yourself anymore? Like, what told you I have to expand this team?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it was okay. I had Ray, and then I'm trying to get back to like 40 shoots a month, 30 shoots, whatever. And then I think it was last summer when Robert was gone. I think I just finally accepted while he was gone, like, okay, I can't keep trying to plan how this is gonna go. Like, my life don't work like that no more. Like, when it was just me in my apartment and I didn't have nobody else's schedule to look at but my own, it was easy. I could say like, oh yeah, I could do 4 shoots tomorrow or 5 shoots on Saturday or whatever. I could do that. But now I have to run my business in a way where I can come home and still show up at home too. Like, you know, I can't just go out and shoot, and then come home and give my family nothing. So I think that just thinking about that and thinking about where, and just approaching 30, I'm about to be 30. I'll be 30 in December. And I feel like the goals I set for myself when I was in college and I changed my major and I graduated and I took on this business full time, I've hit all those goals. So I feel like I'm at a place now where I have to write new ones. And the new ones that I write, I can't do by myself. Because if I could, I would have did it already. So I think that's kind of so nothing happened, but my thought process was like, the only way you're going to get to the new side of things is if you have somebody on your side.
Yep.
Because you're going to drown in the little bitty stuff that you could have delegated to somebody else. So that's kind of where having a team came from. And I've always had assistants.
Yeah.
So like I've had a few assistants over the years for different reasons, but I think this year for the first time I've hired a someone who's actually knows what they're doing. I don't have to teach them how to do what I need you to do. And so that's been a different experience, a better experience for me. So yeah, I'm in a process of writing new goals, new challenges, new things, and to do those things I can't do it by myself.
Yeah. And I think like it's a beautiful feeling, like, because I just feel the energy even through the camera of like you reaching a point where you've hired for skill and not for task.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you start to, you know, when you got the right person on the team, you start to feel longevity immediately. Like you feel like, oh, this is right. Oh, how was I doing that? You know, like you immediately start to feel that, and reaching that as an entrepreneur, a wife, and a mom, like it's a game changer. Like your whole mindset about like what you're now empowered to do or accomplish, just like you said, the goals that you're gonna write, they just now feel possible.
Yeah.
You know, when so many mornings you wake up. Yeah.
There's things that come my way that I feel like I miss the opportunity because I'm just overwhelmed or whatever. Like this podcast, this wouldn't have made it on my calendar without my assistant. I was not in this process at all. I was just like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Make sure we get that. And I was able to go shoot and go edit, and she just made sure it got done. And so if it's on my calendar and I'm like, okay, I gotta click this link and that's all I gotta do and show up, like to take away the little bitty things that I would have dreaded, like you reaching out without her. If I didn't have her, if you would have reached out, I would have forgot. I would have saw the email and then I'd be like, oh, I'll fill it out or I'll do it another day. And then I would have missed the time or the day or whatever. And then it would just been another opportunity missed. But now that I have her, I don't miss those things. I don't, if an invoice is past due, you're hearing from her. I don't even have to. Because I think too, that's a part of entrepreneurship or photography, I would say, that a lot of people don't talk about. I love all my clients and I don't want to be having the money talk with you all the time. Like that makes it weird. That makes the shoot weird. I don't want to be like, oh, hey girl, that invoice. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I just want to shoot and then I want to go home and then we good. So like invoices or whatever, she talks to them. They don't talk to me. And she don't tell me who late. I don't know nothing. I just know it got paid.
Correct. And it better get paid. Right.
I figured out my strong suits and I just delegate wherever I'm not strong. And I know whoever I delegated to will make sure it gets done. And so I feel like knowing that and being able to do that, and I'm also in a season of becoming like a better leader. So to go from like solopreneur where it's just me versus me or me and me talking to each other, now I have to, it also pushes you to go out there and do good work and bring profit into the business because I want to be able to continue to pay people and help, and pour into their lives too. So it actually pushes me to want to do more to hit those goals so I could keep these amazing people on my team.
It is like so dope too, like because you have, like you already cared about the vision and the things that you love to do and the company you've built, and you already cared about the clients that you served, and then when you have like a team behind you, it's like, okay, like you do have those days where you just feel like I'm Superwoman, like I can do this. Like look at all these people who have supported me on both ends. the paying in and like supporting my vision. So it's like, it's a whole different feeling of empowerment. So getting into the last question, if you could leave advice at the cooler for a woman looking to be in your space or your shoes, what would you tell them?
Oh my gosh, these hard questions. If I could give advice to a woman who wanted to be in my shoes or in my career, to a woman who would like to be in my shoes, in my career as a digital content photographer, I would say lean in to try to understand what is happening in the digital marketing space, and that digital content doesn't equal influencer. All of my clients are not influencers, even though that's what most people say or most people assume. But everybody's business depends on digital content right now. And I think leaning in and understanding where all the photos that you take are going to be used will help you be a better photographer for that client. I know when I got into the industry, a lot of photographers were pushing me to do weddings. I hate weddings. I hate them. I actually later in my career, I tried it, hate it. Not 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to photography, is quick to just try to latch on to where you think the money is. But really, there's money in wherever you're able to understand the client who needs the service. That's really all it boils down to. So if you love weddings and you can create packages where the customer will be wowed or will be taken care of within your package, do weddings. But if you want to get into influencer marketing, digital marketing, you need to understand digital marketing. You need to understand that when an influencer wants you to take a picture of her purse, she's not just posting it on her Instagram. She's posting it on her affiliate marketing store so she can make a sale off of that purse. So like understanding those things in all the different areas that influencer businesses, because they're a business, they're not just posting to get likes and comments. A lot of these people work with brands. They run affiliate marketing stores. They run their own closet sales. They have email marketing. They have YouTube. So like treating your business as a B2B, where you're business to business, it can really change how you think of things, versus like, oh, I just want to get into influencer photography just to say I shoot influencers. But you have to understand what influencers do, and then that'll change that'll change your eye, because then you're not just shooting portraits, you're shooting something that will sell something.
Such good advice. Such good advice. Because even like that perspective of shooting from a B2B perspective, like you might have, the influencer as your client. And like you said, they have affiliate marketing stores, shops, all that type of stuff, their own blog. But then like you might be taking, a picture of one of them putting on like lip gloss, and now Fenty wants to use your picture for UGC. So it's like the opportunity and the things that could come up when you have the eye for where this is going to be placed. It's just a whole different ball game. Such good advice. So Marrica, drop your handles, your podcast, let the people know where they can find you, and if you have any like exciting services or ebooks or anything coming out, tell us about it.
So you can find me at marricaevans.com. You can find me on Instagram at beingmarrica, or if you just want to see the amazing pictures that I take, you can follow me on Instagram at marricaevans. Things dropping soon. This year I really want to focus on helping other photographers. So a lot of people always ask me, how did I start my business? All that all that stuff. So I'm working on an ebook right now that should be out in the next couple of weeks. So by the time you hear this, it should be out. And if it's not, harass me on the internet. But yeah, so I do have ebooks coming and maybe a workshop coming later in the year. So just keep up with me online just to know what's coming out soon.
Sweet. Well, Marika, thank you so much for joining me at the cooler. Thank you so much for sharing your story, if nothing else. And I appreciate you so much for being here. For everybody who is listening, thank y'all so much for joining us around the cooler, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for having me.